Okay, yay, and welcome to this interview with the Sisterhood. I'm so excited to introduce you to Jessyka Winston. She is Haus of Hoodoo on Instagram, Haus of Hoodoo, and she is amazing. She's been somebody that I've followed for a while on Instagram, and I love her posts. She is full of so much knowledge. And she's definitely somebody that walks the walk. She doesn't just talk the talk and post about random things. She really goes into it and really helps to just educate people on all different types of things. She's a root worker, a Vodoun Priestess. I probably still butchered that, but root worker, folk magic, folk healing, tarot, and astrology reader. And I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you.
So I guess before we really get into answering some questions and everything, if you want to share kind of your backstory, I know you touch on it on your website, houseofhoodoo.com, but if you just kind of want to share your background and how you really started to incorporate all of this into your life.
Yeah, so I created Haus of Hoodoo almost like literally to house everything that everything spiritual, that it's my life, that was my upbringing, that, you know, even what my upbringing was, what I am right now, and then the things that I'm growing into in the future. So Haus of Hoodoo, it's been my space of really connecting back to my roots. That was very important to me. I grew up I was born in Dominican Republic, in Santo Domingo, and it's such a natural thing for the women there to be these medicine women and folk artists. You know, my grandma used to have some plant for everything, some medicine for everything. And so you grow up with this being your norm. You just know that the elders in your family have this higher wisdom, this higher knowledge, and you just kind of watch and observe. You don't even question it. You don't even think of it as superstition. You just know that this is your life. You know, you don't really question that. And so once we moved here to the US, by the time I was in like super, super young, about 10 years old, or 11, once we moved here to the US, I kind of, my family was split apart a bit. So I separated myself from the tradition, and I kind of shut it down for a while and just went more the non-believer route. And I think the non-believer route happened around high school when I got caught up with boys, because even in elementary, I was such a witch. I had a little bit of a coven with my friends. And of course we were practicing, the European form of witchcraft. My best friend and I, we had a little coven of 3. And then the third leg wasn't really cutting it, so we kicked her out. So it was just the 2 of us.
I love it.
And then I got into high school, got caught up with the boys. My parents went through a rough divorce. I was like, you know what? There's no magic in the world. I'm gonna just shut it down. There's no love, whatever. I closed that part of my life, but it's crazy how, it doesn't matter how much you turn your back on certain things, they never turn their back on you, and they'll follow you throughout life. Like, even though I used to claim that I was in high school, I used to claim that I was this atheist who believed in nothing. And because my boyfriend at the time was some type of atheist who believed in nothing, I still somewhat kept my tarot cards. I still had all my metaphysical books. I was still learning about astrology. So the atheist aspect was my safety net to, if ever things got bitter, then I knew where to, this feels comfortable to just shut down and believe in nothing. Because if there really were magic, then things wouldn't be so bitter, right? Mm-hmm. But it's wild. It never left me. And then in my early 20s, I decided to stop running away from it and just like really look it in the face and say, you've been following me. This is my life. I need to embrace it. And I just kind of opened up to this experience, to this, what they call awakening. So the awakening aspect never stops happening. Mm-hmm. Once you open that door, once you look at it in the face, you have multiple awakenings throughout your life. Like, that's the point of enlightenment, right? You just go through the flow of it. It comes in cycles. And so House of Hoodoo is that. It's like I'm documenting my journey, and then at the same time, just holding space for other people and to share, let people know that they're not alone in this process, because I'm going through it. And so many people are like, oh my God, I'm in the same wavelength. It's like, yeah, before there was social media, what was trending was our energies. It's our energies that call trend. We're all connected. And that's essentially what House of Hoodoo is for me. And so all of this led me to meeting the right people. And it took me to Africa, where I received multiple initiations as a Vodoun Priestess, and it's just the beginning. I have to continue going back and receiving and just continue my learning and my training and my initiations. So this is a lifelong commitment for me. This is my life. I tell people in the magic, because I teach folk magic and I teach Hoodoo once in a while. And so what I tell the people that I teach is, this has to be a lifestyle. This is a lifestyle. Magic, Hoodoo, root work, whatever type of, whatever practice you follow, it shouldn't be something that you keep in a drawer and you pull it out when you need it. It's like, oh, let me pull out my magic wand when I need money. It needs to be an everyday thing. It needs to become your lifestyle. Like for me, when I wake up every morning, I wake up with intention. I know if I make my coffee, I sprinkle it with a little cinnamon so I can have abundance and prosperity in my day, et cetera, et cetera. So it has to be this lifestyle. And that's kind of like, that's what I promote, because this is my life and that's what I put out. Yeah.
Love it. Yay. And that's one of the things I love about you too, is that you share your journey, and you don't come out as this, I know everything and I'm this, this amazing guru that knows all. You share, and you're a relatable person, and I think that's wonderful to share kind of that vulnerability of, I don't know everything and I am continuing to learn. I think that's really important for people who are teachers, and sharing their spiritual journey is to show people that it's okay to not know it all. It's okay to, to continue to grow and to continue to learn. I think that's a really great thing to share in the spiritual community. Because I think it also helps people, you are relatable, and so they don't feel so intimidated, like, oh, I'm never going to reach that process, that point, because you're sharing that it is a process, and you don't go from 0 to 100 and then suddenly you're this like enlightened spiritual being. Like, it's a process.
It is a process. It's an organic, like, it's for life. I tell people, you never, like, the process of healing, you never stop healing. You will spend whatever years you have in this lifetime healing. It is a process. This is all a process, and we all, every process comes with its cycle. So just like the new moon is the beginning and the full moon it's its end, the same thing with the cycles of your process. You have your beginnings, and then you have your end, and then you start from scratch, and you got to be comfortable with starting from scratch. That is the point. You're this ever growing, ever evolving, ever learning, ever falling and getting back up individual. And that's a beautiful thing, because then life never becomes boring. You're kind of always on your toes.
I love it. Wonderful. So you kind of mentioned voodoo and hoodoo. So I would love if you could, I know could be a huge topic, but if you could kind of touch on exactly, kind of the difference of voodoo and hoodoo. So like, what is voodoo?
Yeah. So voodoo is a religion. And though the word religion has such a negative connotation, where a lot of people in the voodoo community rather not use it, I use it with much pride, because I know what religion means. Religion literally is it just means an organized practice. You have a group of people who believe in the same deity, same concept, practice the same thing. And so they become this community. And so that is religion. The word religion has become so tainted by these bigger religions. And so people look at hoodoo and they're like, voodoo. And they're like, well, it's so different than these major religions. I'm like, right, because that's not all religions are the same. Not all religions are meant to, have some church and be so so fixed as you have Christianity, Catholicism, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But voodoo very much is a religion. Like I wake up I have my church. My church is on Sundays. I wake up and I spend that day with my spirits. I clean their altars. I feed them. I play the music. I dance with them. I celebrate with them. And that's my church. I have people who I share this, people within the community that I share these experiences with. We'll come together and we'll do ceremonies for the spirits, and we commune with the spirits, and we ask for blessings, and we pray to them, et cetera, et cetera. Just because it doesn't look like your typical Christian, Catholic, et cetera religion, it doesn't mean that it doesn't deserve to be recognized as one, because it is, and it's very, very beautiful. Like I said, the word religion has gotten such a negative name, such a negative everything connotation to it, when it really isn't. It just means an organized belief system. And voodoo is definitely an organized belief system, and it's very, very beautiful. It's very much about community. It's very much about, there is no witchcraft in voodoo. You do have voodoo people, voodoo priests, voodooists, whatever you want to call them, that they have their own form of witchcraft, because unlike Christianity or Catholicism, where they think that witchcraft is being a witch or doing magic, it's the devil's work, there is none of that nonsense is in voodoo. So you can be a witch and practice your magic and still have voodoo as your religion and serve your loa and serve your spirits. We serve our spirits the same way that anyone in the Catholic religion will serve their saints. It's like I'm gonna light a candle to my saint and pray to my saint. Same thing. People get caught up with the animal sacrifices. That's such a small fragment of what the religion is. And so me growing up in a third world country, I grew up with there being chickens in my backyard, and my grandma going back there, picking up a chicken, cutting its head, boiling, cooking it, and that's dinner. And so the same thing happens when we do animal sacrifices. The animal does not go, we don't toss the animal away. It's a trade-off. We give the blood to the spirit, and then we cook the animal, and then we consume it and serve some to the spirit. So we're receiving the blessings. The animal is not tossed. So if you eat meat, it's the same thing. It's just that we're so used to, in the Western world, we're so used to someone else doing the dirty work for us, and we're not used to doing it, but it is the same thing. You are consuming it. You're not tossing it. You're not just killing an animal senselessly, and it's not suffering, and we're not, toying with it. We are offering it. That animal will be consumed. It will be on the dinner plate for that night, and it will be shared within the community. That is the point of sacrifice, that you give the blood to the spirit, and then the meat has the blessing. And so when you consume the meat, everybody takes in the blessings that that spirit is providing. My diet is vegan, and I only eat meat when I offer animals to my shrines. I offer them the blood, then I go and cook the meat. My partner and I will consume some of the meat and then give the rest to the shrine, or put it in the fridge, and he'll eat it the next day. But my diet is vegan. So
I was actually going to ask about that. I'm glad you touched on that. Like, what about people who, want to practice the religion, but they're vegan? I like that you word that too. It makes it gives it meaning. It isn't just like, oh, let's just kill this animal and toss it into the alley. It's, it's special. Yeah. It gives it purpose. I like
it's not a senseless killing. If you eat, especially if you're a meat eater, then you shouldn't have a problem with it. Yeah. That's how your meat gets to your table. Somebody else
spiritual, purposeful way too.
Exactly, in a much less spiritual, more painful, mass-produced way, instead of when I do my animal sacrifices, my partner and I, we go take a trip down to the poultry market, we grab some chickens ourselves, and we're like, okay, we want these chickens, we bring it home, do our thing, we eat it. If we have friends over, we share it. And there it is. We have food, he has food because he continues to eat whatever leftovers we have, but he has food for the rest of the week. You know what I mean? So it's not being tossed. And I think people get too caught up on the animal sacrifices where they're like, oh, that's if you're sacrificing animals, it's devil's work. And I'm like, well, but you eat animals every day. So is that devil's work though?
It's funny how people don't seem to have an issue with it until you relate it to religion. And then they're like, whoa, wait a minute.
Exactly. Yeah. And they get caught up. They think that voodoo is some type of like witchcraft and magic. And no. It's not. We do services with our, just like, for instance, if you were to go to Catholic church, like just people who go to church and you're in a pinch, you go to your priest, right? Oh, I'm in a, please help me. I'm in a pinch. I need money. I need a prayer. I need a blessing. I need a cleansing. Your priest is going to do it for you in church, right? Or if you're Catholic, you're going to pray to your saints and ask them for blessings. The same thing we do. When we become priests and we become of service to our community, then what we do is that we open the doors for the spirits to not just be ours, but also to share their blessings with others, where the person will come in, will consult the spirit, see what the spirit can do for you, if they agree or not, because it's not always a go. They have to agree whether they're going to help you out in the situation or not. And then the spirits will ask for a trade-off. It's like, all right, I'll give you a hand with this. All I ask is that you bring me maybe rum, some this, some that, and a chicken, and that's it. And there you go.
I like that offering. Like, so much in life, there needs to be a balance and a give and take. So I like that you're not just like, do this for me. You know, I need more money. I need more confidence, or I need love in my life. You're not just like demanding it. You're working kind of with them. I like that aspect.
Yeah, it's a trade-off. It's definitely a trade-off. They won't do anything for you. You have to promise something. It's you give some and you gain some. Mm-hmm. That's life. Mm-hmm. That is the balance in life. In order for you to gain something, you have to give something. And then with hoodoo, with root work, that is all magic. It is, you don't have to worship any deities. You don't have to work with any spirits. Hoodoo, it's literally you being a magician and utilizing the tools around you, like herbs, oils, powders, minerals, hair, bones, whatever the hell, and doing magic and, you know, fixing a candle for money, fixing a candle for love, doing a honey jar to sweeten a situation. So it's strictly magic. It has nothing to do with voodoo, and it has nothing to do with deities or spirits, even though a lot of people who do root work with the saints. There's a lot of connection with root work and the saints. But it's not, there's two separate things. You know, voodoo, it's a religion, and voodoo, root work, is just straight up magic. It's as simple as, I'm gonna go in my kitchen, get some cinnamon and some basil, wrap, you know, get a candle, wrap it in, and then light it, and then that's it. You got it. Then that's your money candle. Yeah, it's just straight up magic.
So what would you say, or is there really a difference between, you know, just witchcraft and hoodoo? What would you say is like the biggest differences?
The biggest difference, in my opinion, is that witchcraft is very, you know, old witchery is very ritualistic, where in hoodoo, we call it magic on the fly. We don't like cast circles or call the corners, and we don't have like a wand and anything like that. It's like, no, it's on the fly. It's on the fly. Like, for instance, I sprinkle coffee every morning I sprinkle cinnamon in my coffee every morning just because I know cinnamon's going to bring me prosperity, and that's hoodoo. Okay. You know what I mean? Like, hoodoo is that I love the reason why, you know, most people who are in this industry and do this root work, they call themselves either conjure or root work, like their business either says conjure something or root work or something. I chose to go with hoodoo because if you listen to blues songs, and I'm a big blues lover, I usually have blues. If I weren't talking to you, or if I didn't need the speaker, you'd be hearing blues in the background. The blues talk about, you know, that hoodoo that you do. Girl, do that hoodoo that you do. Yeah. You know, so it's like, do that little trick that you do. Play, you know, pull some dice or do some trick and make money happen and make magic happen. So that's why I called it hoodoo. And I'm like, yeah, it's hoodoo. This is my bag of tricks. These are all the things that I use to better my life,
to improve my life, to heal my life, to feed my life. You know, it's all little tricks, little things, little there. And that's why I love hoodoo, that it's not, and that's the difference between hoodoo and witchcraft, that it's not ritualistic, it's on the fly. It really is. Like, you just pull whatever you have in your kitchen, and that's how hoodoo was created. Mm-hmm. You know, the African Americans who created hoodoo in the South, that's how it was. It's like, whatever the hell we have available in the kitchen, that's what we're gonna do. Yeah. We know that this herb is good for this, and this is good for that, and that's good for that. Let's smash that together and let's make some money happen. Yeah. You know? Yeah.
I like that. So it's a lot more, I guess witchcraft would be a little more formal kind
yes, of. Yes. Witchcraft is definitely more formal. And, you know, ritual, like it's very formal, ceremonial. You have steps to follow, whereas hoodoo, you don't. You just do it.
Love it. So what advice would you have for somebody if they were interested, you know, in learning more about voodoo and, or even hoodoo, but how would they, especially voodoo, like how would they, because there isn't, you know, churches, they can't just go to like the church up the street and learn more about it. So what advice would you have for somebody who is interested in learning more?
There's some really great books written about voodoo, written specifically by priests who are off right now. You can find those books on Amazon. And so I would say start with some books, get a little bit of information, and you do understand that the books are very superficial. They'll only give you vague not necessarily vague, but they can't give you all the details, because with voodoo, unless you're in it and you experience, it's an experience, and it cannot be written, it cannot be described, and there's certain things that are not meant to be shared. And so the books will only give you the very superficial information. If you choose to follow that path, then I do recommend that you reach out to someone who's a priest in the community, a priestess or a priest. It doesn't matter if they are, I would say, start with reaching out, you know, read some good books, get some information in you, reach out to a priest or priestess, even if they're not local. I mean, it's best if they're local, if you want to learn from them, because you have easier access to them. Reach out to them, book a session, a reading session with them. They'll be able to tell you which spirits are strongest with you. They can't tell you who your head is. That's something that happens during initiation, but they can tell you which spirits are closest to you and which ones are, you know, want to work with you and trying to get your attention. And then you can say, hey, what's the trade-off? How can I learn from you? I really want to be, or I want to be part of your house, or I'm considering joining houses and I want to know which one best suits me and I'm interested in yours. Can I learn from you, et cetera, et cetera. And so you stay in constant, you know, communication with this person, asking them questions. That's the job of being a priest. And that's what people don't understand. They think everybody wants to be a priest, but no one is ready to do priest work. Mm-hmm. When you become a priest, you are of service to people in your community. And then when you need to be there, you know, you become people's teachers and mentor and guide and healer and therapist and the whole jam. It's a lot. It's so much responsibility. And you sign up to kind of put your own personal life in the back burner for you to be there of service to others. It's a big commitment. It's a big, big, big responsibility. And then if you choose, and then, you know, initiation, a good priest will be honest with you and will tell you whether you belong to that house or not. They do need to do a divination reading in order to see if you belong to that house or not, because to take you under as a new initiate, that is such a job. You become a child. So imagine that house has like 30 initiates, and then this person's gonna have 31. That's 31 heads that you need to be on top of. Like I think about it and I'm like, oh my God.
I'm thinking of my own 2 kids downstairs and I'm like, oh, I can't even handle them.
Exactly. And you need to answer their questions, and they'll come to you for healing and for this, and how do I feed this spirit? Am I doing it right? Am I doing it wrong? Et cetera, et cetera. So it is a job. It really is a job. So if you want to do the voodoo route, I do suggest start with that. Get some books in you, reach out to a priest, get a divination. If you want to go further than that, then you want to tell that priest that you want to learn through them, and then you guys work out the trade-off and how that's going to work for you. As far as voodoo, the thing with root working is the books are great because the books give you some history, and then the books will give you a ton of spells, but there is something always missing that you won't get unless you learn root work from a root worker. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's really hard to explain, but there's always, if you go the book route, the book will give you some of the history and it will give you some spells to work on, but there's this very, very like important base that it's missing, this link that it's missing, that unless another root worker, another conjure doctor is teaching you, you won't ever receive it. And so you can do the book route and learn some things and start getting your feet wet and start, collecting oils and candles and whatever it is that you want to start collecting. Get to magic, learn some, practice some, but do also see if you can find a root worker that you can trust and who is willing to teach, because again, it is taxing to teach. I've taught before, and my students are like my children. Mm-hmm. They are my children. Like, I've created this community, and I'm always like, okay, guys, checking in. How's it going? How's everyone doing? So try to see if you can find a root worker who's willing to teach you or mentor you, so they can add that missing link for you to grow into a root worker.
I love that. I love with both of those, it's goes so much deeper than you said than just reading a book. It's really forming a connection with your mentor, with your teacher. And I like that. It seems so much more special than just going to a church every Sunday and hearing the preacher talk to you and say things and you walk away. It's much deeper than that, much more personal.
Yeah.
I like that. I think that's very special. Well, I guess this kind of goes into how can people work with you? You mentioned that you teach hoodoo and stuff. So could people reach out to you, or are you not taking students right now? Or
as far as right now, I'm getting ready to teach a 10-class course on tarot that begins in August. Okay. And my focus with that is I'm teaching the students, the women that I already teach root worker for. They're also they've been wanting to learn tarot, and tarot is an amazing way to open up, kind of stimulate your intuition and your third eye, and being more receptive to energies and signs, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm teaching tarot now. As far as teaching hoodoo, oh man, maybe that'll happen again, because I did it in the spring, and then I went to Africa for 2 months and came back. So now I'm teaching tarot. I might be open to teach again at the end of the year or beginning of next year, but I'm not really taking students as of right now. My plate is kind of full, but if you follow me on my page, I do try to keep stay on top of it as far as sharing information, sharing knowledge on hoodoo, on root work, on magic, on voodoo, on everything that my life is. And if you send me an email with some questions, I will do my best to get back to you as soon as possible with some, if you want me to suggest some good books, I can, suggest some good books. The best way to reach me is just if you're going to reach me on Instagram, don't send me DMs, just send me an email and I'll get to you.
Awesome. And then they can always work with you too for any readings, and you're always dressing such beautiful candles and sending those out to people. So
I love it. I love doing magic. They're like my little genie in a bottle. I absolutely love it. Candle magic is, when you start doing magic, you kind of learn, you figure out that you're stronger at certain things. Mm-hmm. And for me, fire and water are always my strength. So baths are big for me. I'm always telling people you need a bath, and they're like, oh, but a bath, and they undermine a bath, and I'm like, do you not understand the power of water?
Yeah.
There's the fire aspect with the candles, and so those are my two loves, and I love fixing candles for people.
Yay, I love it. I love how they're both like total opposites, fire and water.
Yes, fire and water, right? But they're so, even though they're such opposites, they really do make some stuff happen.
Yeah.
This new moon that we have coming up is fire and water. We have the Leo new moon, and then the moon represents water. And when I tell people like, oh, so what ritual should I employ? And I'm like, fire and water. Go fix yourself some candles and give yourself a bath. Done.
I love it. Love it.
You got it.
Well, thank you so much for meeting with me and sharing your beautiful wisdom and your energy. I really appreciate it. Yeah, you guys definitely go check her out, hausofhoodoo.com, Haus of hoodoo.com. And yes, thank you again so much for meeting with us.
Thank you for inviting me to do this. This was fun.
Awesome.